There's certain things that we're not supposed to be saying because it's just, you know. Um, so this is us starting in the middle, but we have to
Yes.
say welcome back. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, it feels like we've been missing for a very long time because we have been.
We have been.
Started
It's
this
been months.
thing and we had like momentum and then it took a break for the holidays and then did one meet once or twice.
Yeah. And then since February, it's
Yeah,
been, yeah, we've been
it,
MIA.
life has just
Um,
been lifing. Oh my goodness.
yes. And I like to say that I've been resting, but I'd be lying through my teeth.
Hmm.
I would be just lying. That would be a huge fib. Um, so I do have an interesting story. I mean, you know some of the stuff that I've been dealing with Hamilton Health Sciences and all that stuff. So yesterday I'm at the gym and I go at the same time every day. So I do have friends and I use that term loosely, right? Because they're gym acquaintances and it is a community. And so, this one lovely gentleman comes over and I know his wife. And he comes, how are you? How are the kids? So we're talking and whatever. So he goes off and does his thing, and I'm left to do mine. And all I hear about 5 minutes later are these screams of pain. So this gentleman is a very large size, buff, like like he looks good. He's a well-made man. And he was doing a certain exercise on the cables. And as he went down to engage certain muscles, the cable snapped and threw him backwards. And he ended up what I'm thinking is tearing the tendons that hold his knee up, like
Oh
connect
my
to his thigh.
goodness.
And so he's on the floor, like withering in pain. And I mean, so, okay, I jump into action, right? What do? We jump into action. And so I just want to pinpoint that in this facility, there's a physio clinic. So there are physiotherapists. There's a firefighter, a police officer, and like other people present. But it was me that jumped in. And so, anyway, we got him all settled, all out. And like, I'm literally like shouting directions to people. And everyone's like, oh, Christina's got this. We're good. We don't have to worry about anything. Like, she'll make sure everything's managed well.
Social worker.
Yeah, right. So I'm having a conversation with my son today, and I was saying something about like being good in a crisis. He's like, you don't know how to function without a crisis.
Ouch.
Boom. This is my almost 17-year-old son
Ah,
who is basically saying, Mom, you are stuck in fight or flight all the time. So no wonder you're good in crisis because that's where your body's comfortable. And I'm driving and I'm like, wow, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So this child has seen me in fight or flight his entire life. Entire life. He will be 17 in 2 weeks today.
gosh, Alex will be 17.
Yes, he'll be 17. But then that means that Nathan is in the exact same boat at 13, to be 14 in December. He does not know me to be in anything other than fight or flight. He does not know me in a non-burnt out phase. He does not know me when I am rested, but I don't know me when I'm rested.
I was just gonna say that. Like, do you know you when you're rested? Do you even know what being rested means
Means
or
or
looks like?
feels. No, like I I don't even know like how to define rest for me. I can define it for everybody else or help them define it, right? In my role, I can help others define it. And I think rest obviously means something different for me. It means something different for you and everybody else, right? And for women, it rest means so different than men. Like it is probably like opposite of what we think rest is.
Are we ever allowed to rest though? I mean,
No,
we've ever been taught how to rest? I laugh because you know me, I've said this so many times that the apprenticeship program that I grew up in, my mom teaching us life skills and stuff. The 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 message was you have to be hardworking. You
yes,
have to work hard and you always have to be working. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with being hardworking. There's nothing wrong with working. I mean, things get done. Things have to be done. If you don't get
right,
them done, they will not get done. But what's the worst thing that could happen if they're actually not done? Um, I don't know.
right.
Those are some of the questions that I find myself starting to have. Last week, we were supposed to meet last week, remember? And I
Yes,
woke up. I couldn't move. Thursday, I woke up, I could not, like my body was just,
yeah,
it would not. My eyes felt so heavy, like I hadn't slept. I felt so low, you know, that low mood,
yeah,
that flat affect, that I can't smile, I can't talk, I can't, like I just need the
yeah,
world to just go away. And I couldn't tell you what was going on. I tried to think, was it PMSing? Is it part of menopause? Is it like
right,
perimenopausal symptoms? Is it that again, I've gone through that whole process of just pushing through, pushing through, pushing through, and I'm not stopping to listen. And now my body has just said, yeah, we're not doing this.
yeah,
And interestingly enough, even though I canceled, I had to reschedule appointment because I could not push through. Like the state that I
yeah,
was in physically and mentally, just there was no pushing through it. I should have just gone back to bed. But you know we're hardwired. So you
right.
wake up still, you shower still. And I found myself sitting in here because I'm like, no, but I need to, reschedule people and talk to people um and I'm sitting here and then I'm like, oh, maybe I need to look at my schoolwork and start. Chris, I was like 2 hours later, I'm literally almost crying
Yep,
when I asked myself, like, what are you doing and why? Why?
yep,
What is it? I don't understand it. So I had to go downstairs and then you sit, but you're sitting, but your brain is going. This house needs to be cleaned. Things are just not the way I need. So I know that rest for me, part of rest for me is my environment has to look a certain way.
yes,
But is it restful for me to actually get the environment to do that? So physical rest. And is it even mental? I don't know, because mentally it's almost like it's therapeutic to be doing
right.
that stuff. And yet physically your body's saying no. Spiritually, maybe you're in a state where you're just like, and then sensory wise, everything is just, ah.
Yeah,
I'm a grown
yes,
woman. How can I not know what's going on with me? And
right.
how can I not do and follow through with the things that like I know are healthier for me. I know that I can sit. Sitting is okay.
Right.
Dayirai sitting is okay to do.
Yes,
You know, taking a nap during the day is okay, Dayirai. It's okay to do that. Um, Reading is okay too, not schoolwork.
yeah,
Because
not
really
school
profound.
information.
Yeah,
Don't read school books.
no.
No.
It's okay to give your body what it needs because if you don't, that's when that's pain, like aches and pains, and it feels inflamed and everything is just achy. I'm like, but I did not run a marathon. Why are you achy?
But you did. You did run a marathon. It's a different marathon. So that's the thing is we're like we didn't run. No, physically we did not run the kilometers. that I think it's like 42 point something kilometers for a marathon. We didn't run the marathon, but we are running a marathon every day. And so burnout doesn't take days or weeks to come out of it, takes years to come out of burnout. And so if we were burnt out 10 years ago, we've just continued. So we've just continued to run the marathon. And not only are we burning the candles at both ends, like we're just on fire at this point. We are just inflamed completely, physically, but even just in general. Like no matter what I do, I'm behind, right? So I'm always feeling like I'm reaching for the next task because if I don't do the next task, I can't trust that everything's going to fall into place. And so that marathon of go, go, go is it's real. And I'm finding every day it's getting worse. And right now, I don't have the burden, and that is the correct word. I don't have the burden of going to work because I'm trying to recover, but I can't recover because I'm not able to rest. And so recovery is not where it should be because rest doesn't feel like an option and it feels like a chore. And I don't want rest to feel like a chore. I want it to be something enjoyable. But if I sit down, I'm popping up like you think my butt's on fire because I'm just popping up and like, oh, gotta go do this and this. Then I sit down and then I pop up like 15 minutes later because if I sit for too long, I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't feel right, but rest shouldn't feel wrong. It should be right. It should be, it's not a privilege. I'm not privileged that I get to rest. It's a right. I should have the right to rest.
And what is rest? And that's why I liked the Sacred Rest book, where she divided the concept of rest into like the seven pillars of rest, because maybe if I break it down that way, I'm able to identify what I might need in one area versus another, like the social rest, for instance. You and I both know that and I don't even know, like I know I'm quite introverted as much as I come out as very extroverted. And lately, this narrative of I just don't wanna, I just I,
Mhm.
I just don't want, I don't have the energy to sit and talk and socialize. I don't have the energy to even answer somebody's phone call and talk to them. I don't have like I just
Yeah, it's not in me.
what's that? That's again the burn that's happening because we're not created to exist in isolation. So when we find ourselves in that space where it's just go, 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 and then think in terms of rest. When people talk about resting, do we talk about resting? People talk when we're at work, people talk about vacation and going on holidays. And but the vacationing and holidaying half the time does not include resting. Well, not half the time, 99% of the time does not include resting. It's more a matter of I'm escaping from
Yes.
work and I'm going to use Jamaica and the 7 days I have in Jamaica, which you don't need, like you need a month for a holiday and vacation to actually recover.
Yes.
I'm going to use this 7 days all inclusive to sit on the beach, drink as much as I drink. And, if you're a mom, as most of us are, to make sure that we're still parenting, you're just
Yes.
parenting in a different environment.
Yeah. You're
You know,
still
yes,
you're
you,
still doing everything.
you're still doing everything. And then what people do most of the time too is, oh, I've got an all-inclusive. I've paid this much money for this. So I have to do all these excursions. So I'm going to plan the 7 days out and busy,
Yep.
busy, 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 busy. and then you're having heart palpitations and anxiety when you're sitting on a plane coming back home
Coming home.
because now you're realizing Monday you're back at work and you haven't rested. You're not feeling
Yeah.
rested. Yes, you may have a tan that shows people that you were somewhere other than. Yes, you may have pictures and photos that people will ask about, you know,
But you're still not rested.
you have nothing has changed, nothing has shifted. If at all, you're probably more
Yeah.
stressed out now because work has all this stuff that was waiting for you to
Right.
come back for a week, you know, um, home life, school.
Yeah. And that's why people don't take vacation time because when they go away, there's no one there to cover them. Now, if organizations and companies would really think about this and they want to make sure that their workers are healthy, they would hire staff that would cover the work while the people are away. So when I was at the Children's Aid Society, one of my roles was a floater. So I was a child protection worker in family services and I was a floater. So I did cover some periods of time that workers were away, whether on sick leave or on vacation for an extended period of time. So the work didn't get piled up. That makes sense. If you have someone who can float in and manage the work while you're gone, so you're not coming back to a catastrophe, then people would be able to actually go away and come back maybe feeling a little more rested. Because what happens is you leave on a Saturday, let's say, and you're going to this beautiful resort. You get there, everything's great, everything's perfect. By midweek, you want to check your work phone.
Hmm.
You want to check your email because you want to know what you're dealing with when you get back.
Hmm.
On Friday, the panic starts that you're going to have to come back, that you're going to have to leave this paradise and re-enter the workforce and your life, and you don't want to. So then you get on this plane, you're coming home and everything's fine. You get home and you're running around like an idiot to get everything washed and cleaned and put away, and you need to make sure there are groceries in the house, and if you have kids you have to have them ready, lunch is packed, blah blah blah. And then come Sunday night you crash so hard emotionally and you're so anxious because you have to go back, so you're checking your phone and you're scrolling through hundreds of emails because everyone sends reply all to every, and you're just sitting there now unrested again. It's all unraveled within, less than 24 hours. It's gone. You go back to work, you walk in, and probably the drive to work, the anxiety is so high that by the time you get into work, you're done. But I did want to talk on, you had said that you don't want to connect. So part of our stuff too is like we're connecting with people throughout the day. So I have quote unquote social connections with people all day long when I'm at work. By the time I get home, I'm spent. I don't even want to talk to my kids because I am so tired from 7 to 3. And many times I was on the phone until 4 o'clock in the car. So from 7 to 4, I am consistently in conversation with people about trauma, crisis, support, not always the best of circumstances. By the time I get home, my social battery is at a 0. I have nothing left to give. And so, yes, we need to have connection, but we isolate in order to protect ourselves and to rest that social part of our being. And so I'm comfortable on my own because I'm kind of talked out. Like I'm burned out from socially connecting for the last 20 years. And my my family pays for it, right? Like
Hmm.
they, and I take the kids to their events and I grin and bear it and I socialize, and inside it's tearing me apart because I just want to be quiet. I don't want to have to put on my happy face and let's go and be social. No, I'm social all day. And so yes, we're burnt out to a level that I never thought was possible going into this career. Like they didn't when they said, self-care, they made it out like a bubble bath or a spa day. They didn't like,
Even self-care. Like, I don't even understand. And this is why for me now, I'm like, self-care cannot happen without collective care. It has to start within the bucket of collective care with our work employment or employers, organizations actually creating collective care. And as I was thinking even about that, I went back to the lunch and learns that I have participated in the past. And I'm like, organizations started doing lunch and learns as a way of incorporating mental wellness and all that, just stuff, wellness and well-being into the organizations. But why is it during and over my lunchtime?
lunch.
Am I not supposed to be doing what I need to do? Like I loved Veronica's idea of lunch because Veronica would like get up and she was out of her office 12 p.m.
Yes.
done,
Yeah.
and you don't find her. You will look for her, you will not find her because she literally physically left that building
Yes.
every day of work. She never sat in that office for lunchtime. So it's my lunchtime. I've spent the first 4 or 5 hours of work talking and giving of myself. I need to eat. I need to check in with myself and see where I am at, what's showing up, what do I need, and actually do this soothing and take care of myself. But no, 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 no. If I want extra, the only time that extra is going to happen is over my lunch hour. So I have to sit in a room with everybody again. And yes, I can eat whilst I'm in there because most of the lunch and learns, they don't even provide you with food. You have to eat your own food that they brought you. Now I have to sit there and learn and hear something or talk and so that I leave and go back to work again as if my day has just been blended one into the other. Like, how? We live and we're existing in environments where they have normalized this go, 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 go. And I have
Yes.
um, people that I've talked to and provided support to that work in other industries, like the motor industry, automotive industry, for instance, that tell you that they're on the shop floor for 12 hours and 12 hours that sometimes they cannot stop to eat. They cannot stop to go to the washroom. They cannot because production cannot stop.
Right. Right.
So then people get to the point where now they're collapsing at work or collapsing when they get home and have to be off work for
Right.
months to try and recover. And then dread returning to work because work hasn't changed anything. Yes, you might go back in a gradual return to work plan, but it's just gradual. 2 weeks or 3 weeks in, they expect you full time back, doing the
Yes.
same thing, the exact same thing, in the same environment. That still won't allow for breaks, even though it's written on paper that you do have breaks. That won't allow for lunchtime. That won't allow for, you to be a human being that is working. Expect you to be a machine.
Yes. And ironically, I find it very ironic that the lunch and learns, about 90% of them are about self-care, mental well-being, spiritual well-being, and like taking care of yourself. And like, how ironic is that they're giving you that information on your lunch where you should be engaging in that and not in like a learning environment, but in a different environment where you can disconnect for that half an hour, 45 minutes, hour, whatever someone chooses to take. But instead, you're right. Like, let's go and learn about self care, but I should be doing it. And the organizations should be encouraging it, but truly encouraging it, not just on the surface level of making it look like we're a great employer because we're allowing you to engage in these self care activities and making it look, and it's false. And it's false. It's all right? Like it's all a facade that we as an not, but the organization are allowing you this. And look at how we're treating you, and and then all of a sudden everyone's burnt out. Well, of course they are,
I
because
always
instead of
chuckle when I think, and sorry I cut you off, but just as you're saying, like I'm always chuckling when I first joined CAS, and there was that one team that was all off on
at the same time,
at the same time, all on mental health leave, including the supervisor for the team.
yeah, yeah,
Everyone on that team was gone.
yeah,
And that, well, in my naivety, of course, I did not
yes.
realize what that meant.
Yes, I can remember the senior intake worker that I was connected with. She was like, as we're getting started, now she also didn't know that I had already worked at the Catholic agency, and that I already worked in group homes and open custody and all these places. So I wasn't wearing my rose-colored glasses. Like I didn't go into this thinking I'm going to save the world. Like I didn't go into it like that. I didn't go in thinking, oh, look at me. I went in going, oh, this is going to be rough. Like I already knew. But she's like, well, I hope you don't have on your rose-colored glasses, because she's like, I'm going to let you know I'm probably going to end up breaking them today. And I was like, oh, okay. That was just my first day going out with the senior worker. And she was literally very clear of like, you know what? This is not a nice job. And she didn't hide it, and she didn't make it sound like it is like rainbows and butterflies, and you're going to run through the meadow and your clients are going to love you. No, she said like you're going to have lots of battles. This is a battlefield that you're walking into. She was the only one that was actually upfront about the potentials of this job, and I appreciated that from the very beginning. I'm glad that I didn't go in wearing my rose-colored glasses. I had removed them years prior to that. um, I, however, did not go in aware of the trauma, the compassion fatigue. I did not go in with the knowledge of the burnout rates. I didn't go in knowing that self-care in the ways of resting that is good for the self, right? Because my rest and your rest are probably they're probably similar actually, but they're still going to have many differences, right? So knowing what rest means to you. No one told me that, hey, probably in your first 6 months you're going to want to have supervision or therapy outside of the building. Connect with someone who is a neutral party who can help you navigate through your feelings and navigate through those initial shocking traumas that you see, right? No, no one told me that. No one told me to take your lunch breaks and your breaks.
Oh,
No one
someone
told.
told me that. My supervisor
Your
was
supervisor
very
did, yeah.
good. Yeah.
Actually, my supervisor too, who was Kevin, he did take his breaks and he did leave the building like most of the time. Um, but again, it's not easy. And then they had the noon call. And so you were on noon call, but you worked through your lunch and then you had to go afterwards because, you know, we're crisis intervention. You can't just be like, oh, sorry, TikTok, I'm on lunch right now. Call me in 10 minutes. Like it didn't always happen, right? So there are some things that I wish that the schools of social work would have educated us on
Mhm.
prior to like chucking us into the field and being like, yeah, good luck. And I know we had placements, but I don't feel like the placements really prepared me for what I went through,
No, I
whether at CAS or the hospital. Like my placement did not prepare me um, for the level of stress that I experienced every day. Like no
mean,
way, shape, or form.
the thing is, we had placement, and the placement was with people that were also just putting their heads down and just go, 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 go. For some students, most of their placements, they feel like they're an afterthought. They're there because the person who's supposed to be supervising them is so busy. And sometimes is not the one that decided that they were going to have a student. It's the
Right.
agency that said, yeah, we're willing to, and then assigned you somebody to actually work with. So we did not, I don't I've never, like, out of the placements that I've never had placement where, even in child welfare, because child welfare was my placement for my master's, I was not taught any of this stuff during placement. No one spoke about rest. It was just a whole fluffy thing. I went, I shadowed, I saw what was happening. I did not have to be in the forefront or doing anything. It was just, I was there,
Yes.
School. I believe that the School of Social Work, at least the training we received, I can't speak for other
Other one.
provinces. I can only speak for McMaster University. I can speak for, Toronto Metropolitan, whatever they're calling themselves now instead of Ryerson. Because those are the two, and even Sheridan, because I did a diploma. So I can speak to those three. I cannot speak to social work education across the board because what I'm understanding is that it's also very different in
Yes.
different schools, different provinces. But what we were very heavy on was getting us to grow that self-awareness, getting us to grow that critical self-reflection, critical lens, understanding the AOPPs, understanding the
Yes.
power imbalances so that we don't do harm once we're doing the work. So I think that there has to be a balance between taking us and teaching us that we are the main tool that we're using in the work that we're doing. So, as the main tool, how do we look after ourselves? Because that's not talked about. That's not something we learned. That was not one of the courses there. Everything was just so centered on us learning the skills, getting to know ourselves enough so that we don't do harm once we're actually doing this
Right.
job. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but the job did harm to us. And so it needs to go both ways. You need to know. And I don't think that, some of the younger social workers coming in, right? Because now my son next year can go to university at 18 years old, which really isn't, I don't know. Like, so then let's say he goes and he does social work, he'll be done at 22. He hasn't seen sorry, but he's heard it from me and he may have seen 5%, but he's going to come out shell shocked,
Mhm.
right? Because he's going to be like, what am I witnessing? And I think that most of the students that go into social work kind of have the same experience of like, wow, what did I just enter and why? Why wasn't this properly explained to me? Doesn't mean I'm not going to go into it. I'm just going to go into it with like a better knowledge base, like in the grand scheme of things, right? Like I'm just going to go into it knowing that I have to put certain practices in place to maintain health
Mhm.
across the board, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. Like I need to make sure that I have a proper toolbox that I can reach into when I'm physically tired, when I'm spiritually low, when emotionally I'm not able to function anymore. But that wasn't hit home as much as it should have been. They touched on it, but literally like whoop and gone. And I was like, oh, right. Like that's literally what it was. Don't forget, you need to do self-care. Boop, there's the touch and out. I don't know if they think that people would have like dropped out or no, there needs to be much more information provided to social workers out to take care of themselves in this fast-paced marathon running world that we're in.
We should
Because
propose a course.
I would love to. I would love to even go in and do seminars in like the placement part of it, right? Because they do have a placement seminar. So even to take two of those and to sit down and to truly talk about these things in depth with the students, I think it would be a phenomenal idea of, or even doing like a talk, right? Like they show up to whatever, and it's an afternoon, and it's an interactive conversation with the group about what, first of all, I want them to be done their first placement. So I want them to be the senior block of the piece and have that conversation. So you've done a placement. What did that look like?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of, and to actually like really dig in and to get them thinking about, okay, so I've picked career and social work. There's going to be some heavy stuff in here. How am I going to do this? How am I going to make sure that when I'm not at work, I'm not in fight or flight? You can't get out of it at work. You're in fight or flight. Like you never know if you're coming or going. So that's fine. But when you walk away, how do you walk away protecting yourself and your loved ones from the trauma of the day?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, like having these conversations and just getting them started with them will have them continue it going forward and thinking about these things. So, maybe we're not going to have a team off on a mental health break, including the supervisor, because they're not burnt out and they have proper support.
You want to hear something funny? Not so funny, but funny. So I had an interview last week for a job in the school district, whatever. And one of the questions they asked was, oh, your ability to work in high stress environments and high, caseload
Yeah. Yeah.
environment. And they caught me right, like at the part where I was done. I really
Yeah.
was done. And I remember saying to them, like, this is not different from the question that we used to be asked during interviews about our ability to multitask. What is multitasking? Really? So now here we are, we're asking these questions, where we're saying to people, listen, you're coming into an environment that is not created for your wellness and for your well-being. It's not created for you to be able to have a balance or a proper, hey, work is that, me, I'm separate. You know, you're coming into an environment that is going to expect you to work as if you're working 12 hours in an 8-hour day,
Yes.
and still maintain and those expectations. So I say no. I'm sorry. I don't know if it's that I am older or what, or I'm just at this time, like going through this phase in my time where I'm real in my life where I'm realizing that I have abused myself and it's not okay. It's not
No.
okay. So, in answer to your question, if you choose to take me on, you're taking somebody who is very boundaried now, who's learning where those boundaries are, and who will not work above and beyond what she is capable of doing, and will not do things that are unrealistic at the expense of her own health and well-being. So, am I capable of working and going? Yeah. I am. Am I wanting to do that? No, I'm not going to do that. I
And
refuse to.
that's the difference. That's the difference in the wording. Are you capable and are you willing? Those are the two questions that you need to ask. Not are you capable? Of course I'm capable. Look at my resume, right? Just look at my resume. Yes, I'm very capable of working in a high stress situations. I've got that down pat. But am I willing to?
No.
Maybe once in a while, but I don't want it to be my everyday anymore.
No,
I,
I
I,
don't wanna. And then the thing is, even as I was talking and saying what I was saying, you could tell the expression on their faces that they were resonating with, you know. And I'm like, here you are sitting and interviewing me at this hour when you've had a full day of work and you're probably exhausted and done and wanting to be home. But
Yeah.
you
Here
have
you
to
are.
do this, and here you are. So, no, I don't wanna. You know, when I was younger, yes, maybe because I didn't know better. But now, I mean, honestly, I'm learning that my body will stop me in its tracks if I don't listen to it. And I have lived pretty much half of my life already, and I want the next half to be easier.
Yes.
I want it to be easier. I don't want it to be hard on me, on my body, because most people by the time they're retiring sick. They're retiring, injured at work. No. No, it should not be like that. We're human
No,
beings. We're not tools and machinery that is on an assembly line that if it breaks down, then it goes and gets thrown into the reject pile. You know, and like our families, we've got lives and we've got
yes.
children that we have to show and demonstrate a different way of living. And I know that we're not going to be able to change the system as it stands and organizations as they stand. But, I'm going to plant the seed and then I'm going to nurture it and water it as far as I can. That's the legacy that I will leave. And someone will pick up that and
Yep.
run with it as well because we cannot continue living the way we're living. If it was something where you say, like, I was looking, there was a post on Facebook that was showing salaries for doctors and people in the medical field, and that was in the US, I think, and they had like a CEO of a hospital sitting at like $700,000 a year, and then doctors at 300,000, and then social workers and nurses and other people lower on the 60,000 totem pole, and 70, 80,000. And then they took a look at pharmaceuticals, and a CEO for pharmaceuticals, $23 million dollars a year, something as ridiculous as that. And then I'm like, them sitting at the top, making that much money are the ones that are so far removed from what we do here
Yeah.
on the everyday level. So then they expect us to continue working so hard so that they can get the $23 million, it's $700,000 that some of us do not even and cannot even envision what that looks like at all, and especially in the social work field.
Right. Yes. Yep.
So
But they're making that because of us, because of our burnout.
yeah, 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 yeah. And fortunately for them, there are more little kids that are coming that want to make a difference in the world that will keep coming and going into these professions, wanting to do things and wanting to make a mark and make a difference. And they are fresh blood until they're not.
Yes, wearing their rose-colored glasses for the first few years.
Until it's done. So yeah, no, I think we can like maybe look into what those talks or conversations could look like and then make a proposal and send it out and see who bites and who finds it um helpful
Valuable,
or valuable.
valuable,
It
valuable to
needs
their
to be
social workers.
done. Like seriously. Seriously.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Doesn't mean I wouldn't have gone into the field. It just means that I would have gone into the field educated a little bit more
We needed
about
yeah, to make informed decisions, and
decision.
we did not make informed decisions. And I am so thankful that I entered this field as a mature student, but still, and having had life and seen what life looked like. So some of the things were not as shocking. However, still getting to a point where you realized when you're told, oh, the personal is not is not the professional. Oh, you have to be professional all the time. But how am I going to be professional when
I'm
I'm a
burnt out,
person
and the first
first?
thing that comes to my mouth is, "What the?" You right? Like, when you walk into a room and you're like, come on, like, right? Yeah. And I've done it where like I'm so burnt out. And yes, I'm trying to be professional and like my facial expressions, it doesn't matter how professional I'm trying to be. My facial expressions take on a personality of their own. And you know what I'm thinking. And most of the time it's WTF, like what is going on here and why? And good Lord, how did it get to this point? And you can read it on me. It doesn't matter unless during the COVID era when I had the mask on, no one knew what I was thinking because I was covered. Otherwise, when you're that burnt out and you're that unrested, it doesn't matter. You have no filter. The filter is tired and it dies. And so you are being as professional as you can be. So,
And this is what is happening even with doctors. With doctors,
yes,
talking to someone was saying, like, as doctors, they were expected when she joined some clinic there in Ontario. Um, she was expected to see 20 or 30 patients within a 2 hour window or 3 hour window, something ridiculous like that, doing the 15-minute whatever. And she said,
yes,
no, I'm not doing that. That is not healthy. Or maybe, yeah, she said that, but then I think this was like a training I took through Percy on burnout and one of the facilitators is a doctor who was also talking about that, about what burnout looks like for doctors and the unrealistic expectations they have also. And then we're coming or we're going to them wanting to sit
yeah,
and talk to a human being, but you're not meeting a human being. You're just meeting somebody who's on an assembly line who's just going, next, 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 next. When am I going to breathe? Okay,
yeah,
at least they get, the money,
yeah.
or at least some decent money, hopefully, unlike us social workers whom they then dump any person that they do not want to deal with on a
Yes,
human
and
level.
yeah, yeah, any difficult or challenging or assertive, that's when you get pushed over to the
Push
social
them to a
worker.
social worker. It's a social
They're
worker's fault.
uncooperative, you deal with them. Here
Hmm.
you go. Meanwhile, they're not. They're just asking questions.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Because they are a human being who knows their lives better than you would know their lives. So I don't know. Your eyes are telling me that you need to rest. So, as much as this was supposed to be like a 15-minute conversation, look at where it ended
look
up
at where we
again.
went. That's
Because
fine.
you and I, we end up just talking. But I really, really pray that you give yourself or you figure out what it is that you need and you find ways to shut your eyes and sleep because sleep is
Eventually.
needed. Sleep is needed.
Yeah,
And me on my end, I am pushing through. I have 2 more hours. And I know that an hour before I was actually thinking, oh my goodness, I'm just done. But I am not done. So I'm gonna push through into the
you've
two more
got this.
hours and slow myself down as best as I can. And
And do
we'll
something for yourself tonight to rest.
something for myself tonight to rest. Yeah.
And sometimes it's like a 15-minute, I'm just going to make a tea and actually sit down and drink it.
Oh yeah, I do. I love peppermint tea. Peppermint tea is my thing. So I'll sit and do my peppermint tea. Um,
Nothing around you.
yes.
No, nothing. No phone, no books, no
The
computer. Just
the phone part, that
okay,
part.
then aimless scrolling is fine.
No, it's not. I don't
I
even
know.
want to do that anymore because I have noticed that lately I will
But it's not
and
even
then
like,
go, why am I doing this? And then I'll put it down. And then five
yep,
minutes later, my hand just goes towards it. And I'm like, this is not healthy. That's not okay. I don't wanna. This is not me. You know, and it doesn't leave me feeling rested at all.
perfect. But now you've defined it. But you've defined its role in rest, and it doesn't have a role in your rest. So carve out 15 minutes, no phone, your peppermint tea, and just let go.
Yes.
Just breathe.
Yes, and
Okay.
you do the same thing, but yours has to
Now,
be sleeping.
tomorrow. Mine's tomorrow because
It'll
tonight
be
I
okay.
have a school event. I have a school event with Nathan from 5 to 7. So that's okay. He's graduating next week and then we're going on summer break. So we're going to make the best of what's coming. And then we know that rest is coming. So I
Yeah,
do little things for myself. I'll take a bath tonight and that's 10 minutes of me time. And then eventually all this will be over and all the craziness will be done and I will be able to rest.
awesome.
Yes.
All right, my dear.
All
It
right.
was lovely again,
Yes, it was.
and we will schedule again. But I'm gonna stop recording now.